small break and let us continue. I'm sharing the screen again. Yes, so the next idea is the idea that main thing is speed. We already several times mentioned it today, and the proposal of German Gref is you cannot quickly create, urgently find a partner. So if we will look into the main brands which really increased its value within the last couple of years, particularly the brands which propose this increased speed for the business. The great retailers like, for example, Amazon. Particularly, Amazon is the possibility for a retail company to increase speed of everything. The same partnership with the company providing the speed is essential. If we look into the booming in delivery services in St. Petersburg and other places, we will see that a lot of restaurants, coffee shops, different supermarkets, they're trying to find their partners in order to increase their distribution channels to the final client. And particularly it could be done by with the help of a partner. The next idea is, if you want to present the facts, do it in a short history. Sorry, just a second, I switch of conditioner here, just a second. Yes, so do it in a short history. We could say that stories must be short. No one is listening for own stories anymore. That is why it's extremely important such thing as visualization. Even the executive summaries for the reports in consulting became more and more trend to visualization and presenting the core idea in the most sharp way is it possible. So during our seminars, and while you will be presenting the results of case studies, the answers to assignments, we will ask you to provide visualization of your ideas. That is very important. At the same, it's very important to formulate your thoughts very briefly. Then the next one, Silicon Valley is not a place, it's a way of thinking. Box solutions no longer exist. See point number one. And point number one, just to remind you, it's about business models. So nowadays competitions is not among services, not among products, but between business models. So we could say that there is no possibility to create a product, create a box for it, packing everything, including all marketing solutions for this product, and to sell it on the market, because simply it will not work if your business model is not created, is not organized for the best performance for selling this product or service on the market nowadays. The next one, the team or the freedom of teams a la Google is combined with a clear discipline of the execution of tasks. Google, yes, I have to change the one letter there. Exactly, I will say, I will come again, it's the same idea of balance between discipline and control, and freedom, creativity, and motivation. So this is quite complicated thing, and different companies really approach it in different way. I could provide you the example of the company where I was working myself for I was working myself for 5 years. It's SW Everdry, the biggest family company in Germany. And the start of this business took place at the end of 60s when father with two sons assembled the first gear unit in one of garages in suburbs of Bruchsal. It's a small town in Baden-Württemberg in the south of Germany. And since that time, since the end of 60s, this family business has grown into multinational corporation with 2 production plants in United States and Germany, 72 assembling plants all over the world, and turnover of 4.5 billion euros. So the company is run by 2 brothers. One is responsible for the business in the United States. The second one is responsible for the business in Germany. And a very good question, how actually they manage to keep on track this business through all these years, through all global and local economic crisis. And the answer is particularly this on balancing freedom, creativity, and motivation with discipline and control. So this is a machine building company, and it's on the other hand, it's high-tech company, and the innovation technologies of the company are a subject of a very top business secret of the company. So it's essential to keep the people working in the company, and especially it's engineers. So the salespeople are also engineers in this company, to keep them within the company. And it's completely the reality. People are working there years and years, dozens of years. Some of them, as I know, they're working starting from the university, the whole their professional life they spent in this company. And the question was how actually the management of the company really managed to create such a trust and commitment among employees and high level of loyalty among employees. Because on the other hand, it's quite a strict working contract in this company. Hundreds of pages, and actually all cases which happened in the company included in this working contract. For example, like you are not allowed to sleep on a working place. And this particular phrase was taken from one of the case. As a production plant, the sales department of our branch in Bruchsal was dealing with Europe, with Indonesia, Southeastern Asia, Africa, and Italy and Spain in August could be characterized by very low business activity. A lot of people are going on holidays, and productions just simply are shut down during the August. And so this one salesman who was particularly responsible, one engineer who was responsible for the orders from Spain and Italy, he didn't take his holiday during August, when it's in any case a cold month. So he was taking holidays during the other months of the year. And in August, it was nothing to do, and once he was simply sleeping on his working place. And when Mr. Blickley, the owner, was passing by the office, the office already was organized as a kind of a partly open space. So there were usually about 12 engineers working together in one office. He saw the sleeping manager, and he simply fired him. But due to the trade union and some other, it was identified as violating the the trade no, the labor norms. This man came back to the working place, but we have now this line in the contract that we're not allowed to sleep on the working places. It also was not supported if the person is smoking. So smoking people were not hired by the company. And other things like this. So it also was not allowed to discuss the decisions of the top management and the owner of the company on the working place, and it strictly was forbidden. So the question was how to coincide all these very strict rules in the company with such a high loyalty of the company employees. So the answer was, the answer was meeting for the it was called meeting with the trade union members once per year. All employees were invited to this meeting once per year, and during this meeting usually was quite long-lasting an event. So for several hours, firstly, Mr. Blickley was telling people about the results of the company performance for the last year. And these results were not presented a kind of data, financial data or production data or the company overall results, but these results were presented in the form how the company performance during the last year will influence the life of the employees. So in particularly about the, for example, the working places, new technologies, new possibilities, will it coincide with the increase in salaries and how? So particularly it was about people in connection with the results of the company performance. Then Mr. Blickley was and is collector of antique sport cars. So he has a quite outstanding collection of antique sport cars, and from time to time he was buying such a car. To tell the truth, it's expensive. So being a billionaire, he could easily buy this sport car according to his own decision. But when he was buying such things, expensive things, he was asking advice from his employees. So he said that, yeah, was good. Yeah. And I also would like to do something for myself. I've chosen a car, and he usually showed this car to the employees, and he was asking their asking advice whether it was spending money or not. This company, the major part of employees of the company are engineers working in machine building, and it's this company is one of the main suppliers of automobile industries. So SUV Eurodrive supplies equipment for Daimler-Benz, for Volkswagen, nearly for all cars in all over the world, including the United States market and the Japan market. Also, for example, the Lada production is equipped with the SUV Eurodrive equipment. So the engineers very much involved in automobile world, and usually there were discussions, and people supported a lot the purchase of this car. They find it quite fascinating and interesting, and for the following couple of months there was all the time the discussions about this car during the coffee breaks and lunch. And then it was the second big part of the meeting. During the second part of the meeting, every employee has a right to ask any question and to receive answer to his or her question straightly from the owner of the company. And it was announced and promised that despite questions will be nasty or tough or not very nice, they still will be answered. And Mr. Blakely will not remember that these questions were nasty, tough, or whatsoever. So it will be just right now, at this particular moment, and it will not affect the working relations with the owner of the company. So usually there were a couple of hours of questions, questions starting from the head of the department to the person who is cleaning the office. Sometimes they could, someone could call some of the questions silly, sound provocative. But in any case, the meeting was not closed until the last question will be answered. So this meeting took place once per year, and then it was announced that all questions are covered, and next meeting will be next year. And so till the next meeting, there will be no discussions of the decisions of the owner or top management of the company, and so the people will concentrate only on their everyday activity. So this is quite an interesting approach, how to organize and how to implement this balance between discipline and motivation of people in a big multinational corporation as a family owned one. So the business model should be built under the cloud. As I already have mentioned, the example of Swiss bank. Yes, definitely. Swiss bank allowed the personal data of the company, of the bank, the personal data of bank clients to leave the walls of the bank due to the partnership with the cloud company. It's not sufficient to create all these facilities cloud companies could provide within our organization. So more and more we look into the specialization and outsourcing, and definitely keeping and sometimes processing the data, big data is could be done within the partnership with the cloud companies. Netflix page is made for you. The ending of the film is the same. So we will look into the example of Cambridge Analytica because it's particularly about this approach. So more and more service companies and products, as I already have mentioned, they are created with a user experience. And by the way, they will be targeted to the particular person. So based on the person profile. And Netflix in future could create films with different endings. And for some of us watching, for example, Titanic, Leonardo DiCaprio will not die at the end. So the Netflix could customize particularly the end of the film to your personality. And this also could be the future of cinematography. Data is a culture turned into an organization. We could say that as an example of Google, in the Google company, HR management is based on a data culture. So HR managers are not traditional HR managers, but HR managers with their advanced IT skills. Particularly the HR management in Google is based on processing the data in order to accommodate the needs and meet the needs of the employees to the most best possible way. Culture is Uber. In Uber is a way to keep between order and chaos. It's again about this balance between discipline and motivation, between control and creativity. Highly paid person opinion, evil fight it, they are wrong. It's about not asking people. So in future, we will not be asking people, and people in the internet will know more about us than our families, friends, beloved ones, and even when you enter in any website at the moment, you ask to accept cookies. In the nearest future, I suppose there will be no need for asking it anymore. And what will replace it, we will discuss when we will speak about innovation in global environment in our course. It's pointless to ask the client. You have to watch how he behaves. So behavioristic approach in management and marketing will be the prominent one nowadays and in the nearest future, definitely. Of course, I think that focus groups soon will die in respect of how globally they're used now. So in the nearest future, focus group will not be needed on such a broad scale as they use nowadays. Because yes, it will be simply easy to watch the behavior of clients. As it was also mentioned by one of my colleagues, as a result of one of the focus groups about the health nutrition of kids, it was about that it's interesting, no mother in the focus group agreed with the statement that she's providing fast food or anything different from the healthy food to her kids. At the same time, there is a question if mothers are so conscious why McDonald's is among one of the most valued brands in the world with such a high performance, and McDonald's has increased performance as well as the other fast food companies during the COVID times. You have no more than 90 seconds to attract the attention of the internet client. Uber updates the application daily. Unicorns are fed venture funds more and more, and 10 of them cost 50% of the whole market from about 100 to 100 pieces, but unicorns only 1 or 2% of all startups. Yes, it's about entrepreneurship. We could say that the major part of startups are closed within 1 year. And when we will be discussing with you doing business indicators, one of the main things you have to think about starting business, how you will go out of the business. It's the particular thing which people are not thinking about, but this is the main point for starting the business, even before how you will escape in if anything will go not as planned. 54 out of surviving 20% startups are sold, reaching 50 million US dollars. So these are the 27 key ideas from the report of Sberbank. And upon the visit of Russian CEOs and discussions with CEOs of Silicon Valley, let me look into the chat. Yes, Yaroslav, I understand about, I can't do both. I can't do lecturing and add people. So I just could hope that people will come to the lecture before the lecture. So those also Konstantin Sergeyevich, when he was not in his other commitments, academic commitments today, he helped me to add people to the team. But if they were not even before and during the first lecture, it will be complicated for me to add them right now. So let me concentrate on lecture, and I hope these students, I will add them after the lecture. So let us continue. Just a second. Another Another information I would like to share with you, the evolution of the world 25 top trading nations. So this is a quite interesting interactive chart was created to show the position of top trading nations and changing its places in the overall ranking since 1978. So what before presenting you this chart, what are the main things I would like to come across? Trade has significantly expanded in the last 4 decades. In 1979, trade represented 36% of global GDP, and by 2019, the figure had grown to 60% of the global GDP. The expansion came with changes in the competitive landscape of global trade and the confrontant rise of the South. Particularly, we know that a lot of emerging markets are placed in the South, and tremendous rise, meteoritic rise of China. So in this top trading nations ranking, quite also interesting that developed nations are marked with blue color and developing markets with green color. So it's very obvious to see how the positions have changed and how this intervention of developing countries in the top ranked trading nations. Yes, and we will see how it happened with China. It's quite interesting also to look in this. You also will have the link, so you could watch it again afterwards, after the lecture. It's also interesting to see the how Russia appeared among these top trading nations. It's also interesting to see how Germany, before 1991, Germany was the top trading nation in the world. So then it was replaced by the United States in 1991. So we will see how it happened. It also shows the gradual but steady climb of Mexico is one of the examples of emerging markets to 11th largest exporter of the world, prepared by, among other things, the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA. And now, so you know that there was rebranding of NAFTA, especially after these constraints between Mexico and the United States, the wall on the border of Mexico and the United States. So now it is called the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. But the biggest stories are about smaller countries. In this period, Vietnam increased its exports. Just look into this figure. Vietnam increased its exports by more than 50 times to become the 20th largest exporter of the world. On contrast, whereas the United States and Germany maintained their competitive stance throughout the years, the United Kingdom, very important, United Kingdom historically traded nation. We could see it in films, in now literature. It's all about British merchants a lot. So United Kingdom historical trading nation has seen its share of global trade fall within the last decade. So for the first time in 2020, United Kingdom has left the list of the world top 10 exporters. So just a second. I will share the screen with you in order to present you this chart. Yes. I want to stop it. Just a second. From the very beginning. Yes. Why did Great Britain leave the list? A very good question, but we will come across, we will return back to it when we will look in the details the performance of Great Britain and other indicators. So we have to look to the Great Britain from the point of global business, international business. You know, there are two forms of international business. So international business, quite a simple entity. So it's trade, export, import, and foreign direct investments. So we will later come across this issue, and I will address particularly the Great Britain and also how Brexit influenced this situation, as well as also this trading performance of Great Britain. We will come across, I promise, not today, it's a little bit more big topic, and we need to look to this question from several point of views. So not only trading, but also we will come back to this question discussing foreign direct investments. So let me share the screen to show you this chart. No. So I have to switch on. Yes, it's not WebEx, it's Microsoft Teams. I have to switch the sound. Let me share it again. Yes, now we have the sound. So it will work more, it will work better then. Yes, so I hope you could see the screen. Yeah, it's a little bit so it's a little bit again small letters. So it called share of global exports of goods in percentage from 1978 till 2020. And as I already have mentioned, two categories, developed and developing. And this is very interesting because it's we could see the change of places between the developed blue in blue color countries and developing markets in green colors. So the names are not very how to say, very bold letters, but you have the flags. So you also could monitor it with the flags. So yes, and on the chart below, you could see the timeline starting from 1978 till 2020. So let us look. Yes, there is no Russia at the moment, no Soviet Union. And we also will discuss, I think today, yes, about the reason why Soviet Union and Russia at the beginning, the first years of its new history, was not among the main trading nations, but then we find it there. So I'm switching, yeah. Yes, you see Germany is on the first place. You see how great trading nation Germany was. And then its rivalry with the United States, and United States became the biggest one. So we could see where is China at the moment. Yes, so yes, look at it. China is rising, extreme rise of China. And now we could see that more and more emerging markets appear among the main trading nations in the world. Yes. Yes. So 2020, at the end of the chart, we see Russian Federation among the main exporters in the world. The main trading nation is China. United States in the second place, Germany on the third. Also, we could see a lot of emerging markets. So South Korea, Mexico, Singapore, specifically Taiwan is also mentioned here, as well as Hong Kong. Hong Kong, I think is, yes, it's important, is one of the most expensive places in the world. United Arab Emirates, Vietnam, India, Malaysia, Thailand. So, and also we could see that some countries traditionally strong at the beginning, at the end of the 20th century, like France, like Belgium, yes, Switzerland, Spain, they lost their position in trading among the main trading countries in the world. And the reason is also particularly about the overall situation with this map of demand in the world. Yes, so let me share presentation with you again. So you will have the link in this presentation. You will have the link to the chat, so you could look at in details again. And let us continue with presentation. So as already we have mentioned that change is very important nowadays, but such a great crisis where the global business and people globally found themselves during the last 2 years, it's not the first one global crisis of such scale. One of the crises which really took place in the 20th century was the oil crisis of 1970s. Maybe you're aware about the oil crisis and what it was about. You can switch on the microphone or write it in the chat. So oil crisis of 1970s, what it was about, so how it was caused and what were the reasons of this crisis. If you have idea, you have no idea, write in the chat, no idea. For me, so I will know the feedback and understand how deep to go into this case. So oil crisis of 1970s. What was it about and the reasons? Microphone or chat? No idea, no idea.
I have an assumption, but I'm not sure. This is the countries from OPEC, and this is Egypt, Syria. They have declared to export the oil to Great Britain, Canada, USA, and Japan because of their support of Israel during the certain war.
Yes, exactly. It was Gulf War, and it was embargo and reduction of oil production by OPEC countries was introduced, and quotas on exporting of oil were introduced by OPEC countries. So absolutely, you're absolutely right. So actually this part of the world several times in the history became a source of crisis in global business. And it was one of the main crises of the 20th century in general. So where is my, just a second, presentation? So I'll switch to it back. Yes, I hope you could see it. If there will be problem with presentation, let me know, please. So oil crisis of 1970s, as a result of this embargo and introduced quotas on produced oil, countries which actually supported Israel came across a shortage of fuel. And these photos just to demonstrate you the overall situation. Simply no fuel. In the big queues of cars for refueling points in order to get some to get some some refueling for the cars. Funny picture, alternative ways of transportation in the big cities in Europe during this oil crisis of 1970s. And as a result, within 1 year, the price of oil increased 6 times, and it had tremendous influence for the whole economy. So if you could definitely have impression from the mass media beginning from the summer 2021, there is increase of energy prices or oil and gas prices, and the consequences of this to the householdings, families, and business in Europe and United Kingdom. So they speak about percentages, and it was even written that the recent increase of prices was 10%, and already it has a big consequences for the business and people. Cost of energy in Europe and United Kingdom. And could you imagine that during 1 year the prices increased 6 times? So what I would like to ask you about, it's no sense to look into the somewhere in the Google, because we just will look at it, and it's interesting to know your idea. What was the price of oil at the beginning of 1970s? So before this global oil crisis. So you could go to Menticom. There is a voting code for entering Menticom, and you also have QR code to enter it. You could and you will have different options of answers. So I proposed you different possible prices on the barrel of oil in the beginning of 1970s. So please choose one, and then we will look to the correct answer, and so you will get better feeling of this incredible influence of this crisis for what actually happened in the world in general at the time. Yeah. Yes, I see that you are answering. At the moment, it's not all of you, but I strongly recommend you to be involved in our lectures, because then it will be no problem for you to pass through the test, and also it will be very helpful for your assignments during the seminars, and for your project as well, and the final exam, who actually will be passing the final exam. Because according to my experience, there is a straight correlations between your commitment and involvement in lectures and your final result. So yes, I see the answers, and there is no one winner. Let's look into your opinion on this matter. Yes, so The most winning one is $10, and the second place $2, then $25, $37, and people from the country of pink ponies, $86 and $114. Of course, $114 it more close to the time before 2014, before the crisis of 2014 for Russian Federation. As you know, in 2014, as a consequences both of decreasing on oil prices and started a ping-pong sanction and anti-sanction game between Russia, United States, Europe, and their allies. Russia found itself in the middle of ideal economic storm. And before this, 2013 was the most favorable year for the Russian economy in general in the new history of Russian Federation. And yes, at the time, prices on oil were about 120, 110, so extremely high. So let us look into the correct answer. So yes, exactly, $2 per barrel. And this is the reason why we did not witness Russian Federation and before Soviet Union among the main trading nations. Russia entered the top-ranked trading nations later when the prices started rise on oil in already 21st century. And now it's one of the main trading nations in the world with a very big surplus of balance of trade. So if you know, balance of trade is the difference between import and export. And when export increases import, it's a positive indicator for the country's economy. And for Russian Federation during this crisis and recession of 2015 and 2016, positive balance of trade was nearly the only positive economic indicator. So coming back to our presentation and what actually happened with the prices on oil and consequences for the economy at the time. Yes, you could see that during 1 year, 1973, 1974, within 1 year, the price of oil increased 6 times. So from nearly $3 to $3 per barrel, it reached nearly $12 per barrel, and it had a tremendous impact on global economy. What happened with the cars? If you remember these cars from the Hollywood films of the middle of the 20th century, they were big Cadillacs, big, large cars. So the size of cars decreased, they became smaller, and particularly to be more feasible and efficient from the fuel point of view. So they became more conscious fuel from the more conscious fuel consumption point of view. What happened with the planes? On the contrast, a plane increased its size. Why? To be more feasible, to take more fuel on board, to take more people on board, to become also more efficient. What actually business could do with such in such hard times? And it's important to know, and in our course we will come across the strategies of business in the conditions of trade wars and trade embargoes, increasing of tariffs and so on. Of course, business has only two possibilities. even three possibilities. The first one is to do something with the situation. The second, to leave the market, or the third, to switch to another form of international business. So if there is, for example, import embargo, to think about possibility of investment in the country. What are other strategies of and most quick strategies which companies implement? We also will discuss with you further in our course. So just an example, a case, how the company could address these changes, also taking into account the possible embargo and the cases of embargo which took place in the 20th century. This is the case of Shannon Airport. Shannon Airport is the Irish airport, which was created in 1930s before the Second World War, and it was among the other small airports, which there were dozens of such airports across Europe. But its geographical position really influenced the performance of Shannon Airport. And as being most westly placed airport in Europe, it became one of the biggest transport hubs in the second part of the 20th century. So after the Second World War, when Europe has recovered after economic disaster caused by the Second World War, the flows of people across the ocean increased a lot. So people were traveling with business purposes as well as traveling on vacations, because the householding families also recovered after the Second World War. People started earning more money, and they could allocate money for their holidays and for travel during the holidays. Shannon Airport became the transport hub and the main point for airlines for refueling their aircrafts on the way from Europe to Northern and Southern America. It was also a strategic point for Aeroflot, because for Aeroflot it was the connection with Cuba. And you could see on this photo, probably you could recognize Fidel Castro. So it's photo of Fidel Castro during his historic visit to Moscow, where he stayed. There was a stop in Shannon for refueling the plane as well. So what happened as a result of this oil crisis, especially for European airports? And I could say we will later on look into the data. European business is much more sensitive than, for example, North American business to different political constraints which are taking place worldwide. And in this case, as the United States, as one of the oil-producing countries, it found itself in more favorable position. And while European airports really felt being out of fuel and simply refused to fuel due to the shortage of fuel, could not refuel their aircrafts or had to decrease the amount of aircrafts refueled in the airport, particularly Shannon Airport, airlines started shutting contracts with Shannon Airport and switching from the most westly placed airport in Europe to the most eastly placed airport in the United States. So the most critical point Shannon Airport came across when they got a letter from Aeroflot with intention to stop contract with Shannon Airport, because Aeroflot had intention to switch to the most eastern airport in the United States. Just listen about it, and we remember the hard times at the time between Soviet Union and United States, particularly because of Cuba. In order to ensure its traffic from Soviet Union to Cuba. So nearly the Shannon Airport, and Shannon Airport is a state-owned organization. This Shannon Airport came across the situation of a very hard time in its history, and they were really close of losing its leading positions as one of the main transport hubs of Europe at the end at the middle of the 70s. So what happened then? Michael Guerin, you could see this cheerful Irish gentleman. He was aviation division manager at Shannon Airport, and he actually had a brilliant idea. And on behalf of Shannon Airport, he wrote a letter to Aeroflot addressing the government of the Soviet Union with a proposal, with the following proposal. So Shannon Airport is situated on the coastline. So once I was landing in Shannon, and I had a feeling that we were falling in the water. So it was water, 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 and just the last seconds before landing, I particularly saw the airport line down out of the window. So due to the position of Shannon Airport on the coastline, Michael Guerin had a brilliant idea, and at that time it was also embargo on Soviet oil, but there was nothing about barter mentioned there. So Michael Guerin proposed that on a barter agreement to the Soviet Union government and Aeroflot company. So the idea was that Shannon Airport will build so-called oil farm on the coastline close to the Shannon Airport. So all infrastructure, all facilities will be financed, invested by Irish government. And Shannon Airport will build the oil farm with the tubes, connecting it with the Shannon Airport, and Soviet tankers with fuel could come to the oil farm, and the Soviet Aeroflot planes could be fueled with the Soviet fuel. Besides, the airport costs also could be covered by the Soviet fuel. And that was a very interesting proposal to the Soviet Union, because Soviet Union was constantly feeling the shortage of hard currency. So it was a great idea of replacing real hard currency by the Soviet fuel, and at the same time, it was the way out for refueling of Soviet aircrafts in Shannon Airport. And besides, Shannon Airport not only saved its contract with the Soviet Union, but also received extra fuel for refueling of other aircrafts of other airlines as well. So we could see that it was not the end of the story to the Shannon Airport, and Shannon Airport remained being one of the main transport hubs in Europe till the end of the 20th century, and the main refueling point for the airlines on the way from North Southern America, Europe, and vice versa. On the photo, you could see Concorde, this legend French aircraft, and I witnessed myself at the end of 90s Concordes in the Shannon Airport. This silver cigar, beautifully designed aircrafts shining in the sky, and Shannon was particularly the hub for Concordes until the tragic accident with Concorde, and when Concorde stopped being produced. So this is an example of economic crisis which took place around 50 years ago, not so long ago. On one hand, from the historical timeline, but at the second, on the second point is that business is able to, even following political factors, which also now ahead at the moment, are still trying to find the ways out. And this is a brilliant example of barter agreement, taking into account that it was done between two state-based companies. And we know that there is a lot of criticism of state companies, state-owned companies, particularly of being not so feasible, not so business-oriented, particularly because of their ownership, state ownership. In this case, we could say that in spite of their state ownership, two companies demonstrated a very good business-oriented mindset. So we discussed today already the trading nations. Let us. You already have seen some of the examples of the main top world trading nations. So my question to you, also to understand your background in international business, the students of the third year of education. So tell me please, what were the top 3 world importers in 1996? So again, you have the voting code. You could go to Menticom and mark your answers there. And I will check and we will look together into the results. Yes, I see. It's very interesting. So let me share it with you. And let us look into the top 3 world importers. So you could enter the quiz 3 times in order to mark your ideas about these 3 world main importers in 1996. So you could do it 3 times. Yes, I hope you could see the results. Top 3 world importers in 1996. Yes, so we could see here that the leader is the United States, then Germany, China, UK, United Kingdom, China, France, Japan. I absolutely agree with you about United States, and we remember that in 1991, United States replaced Germany, yes, but the third country, so United States, absolutely correct. Germany is also absolutely correct. sometimes to think about and to understand who is the economic competitor for the United States, we have to remember the Hollywood movies of the time. So in 1990s, bad guys very often were from Japan. So let us come back to the presentation and let us look into the information from the International Monetary Fund about ranking of the top importers in the world in 1996. Yes. Yes. So United States, Germany, Japan. These three main elephants of international trade in the middle of 1990s. So United Kingdom on the yes, on the China, yes, China on the 12th. So you remember the trading nations chart, and the China was quite behind at that time. And the same question about the too early, about the top 3 world importers nowadays. So it will be the last quiz in Menticom for today. What is your idea? Let us look into these changes which took place among the top 3 importers in the world: United States, Germany, and Japan in 1990s, and 3 top world importers nowadays. So again, Mentimeter.com, voting code or QR code. You could enter it 3 times, and please identify these 3 main world importers nowadays. Yes, so let me share the screen with you with the results. So let us look into your expertise in the field of international trade. Yes, so first of all, European Union, of course, as an entity is the biggest one. So it couldn't be compared with anybody else, but if we will look into the country-based approach, we could see United States, the most important nation at the moment, China on the 2nd place, Germany on the 3rd place. And the result of our voting is, let me share it with you. Yes, so the result of our voting is particularly comes in line with the reality. So 23 vote for United States, then China, then Germany. Yes, and so let us also look into the the data on top importers in the presentation. Yes, actually, in 90s they were not mostly from Russia. There were a lot of guys from Yakuza, from Japanese mafia in the American movies. Very often we could come across them. So coming back to the data, yes, we could see United States, we could see China, Germany, Japan in the third place, United Kingdom, France, and also we could see the information about. So it's yes, yes. So also we could see the information about. Sorry, the top importers. Just a second. The top importers in the world. So exporters. So concerning exporters, it's absolutely the same. Trend. These three big giants: United States, Germany, and Japan. And if we look into the exporters nowadays, we could see China. Of course, China is, even just to look to compare the data about China and the United States. So this tremendous win of China as exporting country, and China at the moment is exporter number one in the world. We could see also Russia here on the 19th place. And this is, as I already have mentioned, one of the best economic indicators for the performance of Russian economy. So let us, yes, and we could see already United Kingdom on the 10th place, but later it has left the latest data. It has left its position, lowered its position in ranking. So these are the main things, starting things about the overall glance of what is going on in international business, the main trends we discussed with you today. So next week we will discuss with you the historical. We will look into the historical retrospective of creating the architecture, world economy, and international trade. And we will look into the roots of it, and we will look actually what are the changes and what are the new trends in regarding the architecture of world economy and international trade regulation nowadays. Are there any questions or issues to be clarified right now? You could write in the chat or you could switch on the microphone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice. Next week we will meet with you face to face. We will have seminars. So I'm very glad to see you alive. It's very nice after all this long time online. So let's meet next week.
I have a brief question. I have no questions regarding the material. Thank you for the lecture. But regarding the homework, am I right that we do not have any homework so far for the Tuesday's seminar?
No, you don't have seminar yet, so there will not be any homework.
Okay.
Yes, so just yes, enjoy your time. It would be nice if you look again into the materials of the lecture. They will be placed in Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft Teams will be our main tool for work during the lectures and seminars. The more details we will provide together with Konstantin Sergeyevich next week during seminar to you. I'm very glad to be with your course. Really one of my beloved academic programs. And take care.
Me.
Yes.
I would like to ask about the lectures. Will we have 2 lectures on Fridays?
Yes, the lectures will take place on Fridays. The only thing that I looked into the schedule, and I have questions as well, because I see that there are sometimes we have lectures, 2 classes on Fridays, especially in February, but then I don't see any lectures in March suddenly. So to tell the truth, I don't know the details yet. So I will return back to St. Petersburg on Monday, and then I will ask the colleagues what is the logic of scheduling our classes this module. Probably there are some, maybe you have some events within your academic program or school events that you will be involved in on Fridays. I don't know. So please take care and be attentive with the schedule. So at least for the next week, I see that we have with groups 1, 2, 3, we have seminars on Tuesday, and then we have again 2 classes for academic hours on Friday.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you for your lecture.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yes, thank you.